Hello and welcome back to the Perch from the Wyoming Tribune Eagle. My name is Noah Zahn, the local government reporter here at the paper. This week we took the microphone to the Cheyenne Greek Festival in its 37th year and got to hear some fun music and talk to some folks there about what it takes to put that together every year and what it means for the community. But before we get into that, I'm joined here by Ivy Seacrest, our crime and public safety reporter, and a new special guest this week, our managing editor of the Wyoming Tribune Eagle, Brian Martin, who spent a couple days in D.C. this week. Can you tell me a bit about what you were doing there?
Yeah, I was one of three representatives from Adams Publishing Group, our parent company, and part of a 120-member delegation for what's called a journalism fly-in. This is the second year in a row that I've participated in it, and what we do is we go and we talk to members of Congress about pieces of legislation that would support local journalism. So last year we spent a lot of time focusing on what's called the Community News and Small Business Support Act. That's a tax break bill that is still pending in the House of Representatives, but it wasn't our main focus this year. We did a couple of meetings about that in the first part of last Wednesday, September 11th, talking to members of Congress about the fact that breaks for local businesses to get tax deductions for buying advertising in local media would be beneficial to them. It would benefit us as a newspaper industry as well, but it benefits them because they get to write off up to $5,000 worth of advertising expense. So if that bill passed, that would give them a break. It would also give the newspapers a deduction because we would get to write off $50,000 of our expenses for local journalists. So part of my salary, part of your salary would be written off as a business expense and a tax benefit. So we obviously hope that passes, but our main focus this year was what's called the Journalism Competition and Preservation Act, or JCPA. And we're focusing on that because everybody knows that Google and Meta, the owner of Facebook, has made quite a dent in local journalism by taking our content, not paying for us for that, and then repurposing that. So what we're hoping is that Congress will find a way to force those big tech companies to sit down with us and negotiate for compensation. The extra kind of black eye that we all get from this is the development of AI, or artificial intelligence. And what's happening, in addition to them not paying for putting our content on their site, they're coming and scraping our site, taking that information, using it to train their AI models, and then turning around and putting that back on their site. So Google has a way now that they can take your article, Noah, and put it on in their site. They can combine it with a little bit of content from another publication, maybe another Wyoming newspaper or some other competing media, kind of make a combination of an article, put it back out in a 400-word summary, and anybody can search on Google, find that, and that might be all the information they need. So they've found information. It may or may not be completely accurate because it's been combined with multiple sources, and they've never left Google's site. They never paid us for the content, and they've never verified or said where they got that information. So those are the two main topics, JCPA and AI. The benefit is that the Wyoming delegation is supportive of what we're doing. I met with both Senator John Barrasso and Senator Cynthia Lummis. Both of them are co-sponsors on the JCPA, the Senate version, and we're happy that that's happening. And then in a separate meeting with Representative Harriet Hageman, we talked about AI quite a bit. There isn't a House version of JCPA right now, but we did have a talk about that with her, and she seems supportive.
And so for people listening right now who may want to take action on that, is there anything that they can do to support this legislation?
Yeah, so as we did last year, I ran some information in the paper this past Saturday about ways to contact all three members of our congressional delegation. I think it never hurts for citizens to weigh in and say that they're in support of local journalism and that they want to see these bills pass. We're hoping that they get passed in early part of 2025. I think it's too much to expect that they'll come back in the lame duck session this year and do anything that would approve JCPA on the Senate side, and then it definitely won't cross over to the House before the end of the year. But it never hurts to just let our congressional delegation know that you support local journalism and keeping that going in the community, and a letter or an email would certainly help.
Great. Thank you, Brian, and hope you enjoyed your time in D.C. this week. Now let's check with Ivy. What's going on with you?
Yeah, so this week in crime, we've been a bit active with the breaking news. On Friday, after about 5 hours of negotiations, the Cheyenne police were able to convince a local man who had climbed on top of a railroad bridge above West Lincoln Way to come down. He had been up there for 5 hours pelting rocks at passing cars, which is quite dangerous. The 47-year-old man, later identified as Ronald Stringer, had climbed up there around 8:45 on Friday morning, and he was down about 5 hours later. He was taken into police custody on charges of terroristic threats, destruction of property, criminal entry, and interference with a peace officer. This did result in a pretty lengthy closure of Lincoln Way. So if you were directed down Missile Drive on Friday, that's likely why. It's yet to be seen what the cause was for him to climb up or what motivated him. We don't have that information yet, so we'll see how that develops. Other than that, we did have an evacuation of the Hirschler building on Monday, which is the building that houses the Wyoming Secretary of State's office. They received a letter containing a white powder, and the hesitancy around receiving white powder to state buildings caused the building to be evacuated and the powder to be tested. Testing for the powder did come back, and all tests were negative. They still haven't identified the powder. The FBI has taken over the investigation alongside the U.S. Postal Service, and they'll be investigating a series of suspicious mailings as Kansas, Nebraska, and Iowa's Secretary of States received similar packages. And we'll see how that develops. But really, that's all we know as of now.
Thank you, Ivy. And be sure to follow up on those stories if you want to learn more, either in print or online, and especially as that second story continues to develop. And same with Brian. His story was published as an editorial in the weekend edition. Now let's head over to Frontier Park, where we brought the microphone this weekend, and learn about the Cheyenne Greek Festival. When I arrived at the Cheyenne Greek Festival on Saturday afternoon, there was a line for the selection of Greek food that wrapped around the room at the Frontier Park exhibition hall. Performers were dancing to the upbeat Greek music, and attendees sat and watched while they ate their gyros or Greek salad or baklava.
I think what's important with Cheyenne is that we don't really necessarily have a lot of Greek food, so it's a great opportunity for people to come get Greek food. We got calamari, moussaka, pasticcio, gyro, souvlaki, salata, salad, and a lot of pastries that we bake at the church.
That's Seisha Perico. She's a committee member of the Cheyenne Greek Festival and co-chair of the Cheyenne Greek Dancers.
There's a taverna where you can get Greek beer, wine. Ouzo is new this year. We brought it back. And with the pastries, lukumades. There's also baklava sundae. We have a booth for our church, kind of describing more about our Orthodox faith. And then there's vendors, Cosmima, get all the beautiful jewelry from Athens. And then, of course, our entertainment, the dancing, the music, the liveliness. We had a Greek band last night, and then we've had Greek dance performances by our Cheyenne Greek dancers, and then a visiting group from Denver, Parea. And so it's very lively. After the performances, everyone comes out and dances and has a good time. And it's been really fun and lively, and everyone's been embracing the Greek culture and heritage.
Seisha told me that her great-grandparents immigrated to Cheyenne from Greece to work for the railroad. She's been involved with this festival for her whole life now, whether that's been as a volunteer, as a dancer, or now helping to run the whole show. Although she's originally from Denver, she still feels close and connected to the Cheyenne Greek community.
We're really close-knit. I'm originally from Denver, but my mom is from Cheyenne, and my yaya and papu and my uncle have lived here my whole life. So this community I have grown up with for 30 years, and it goes generations and generations back. But even now, right now we have about, I would say, 75 families or so. Our Orthodox Christian faith at St. Constantine and Helen Greek Orthodox Christian Church has brought all of us really together, but it's even expanded to all ethnicities, like Russian Orthodox, Syrian, Serbian, and so there's a lot, and even people who have just converted to Orthodoxy. And so I keep saying that there's a lot of people that aren't necessarily Greek in bloodline, but Greek in the heart, and they've really embraced our heritage and helped put this event on as well. And so it's a lot bigger than you think, honestly.
For Seisha, being involved in this Greek festival has been a family affair, and she's proud to continue to support this tradition.
I don't want to get emotional, but my yaya and papu have passed, and so they were really, really involved. And I can remember my papu doing the souvlaki booth, cooking out back with cooking all the souvlaki, and then our family in past years has done the salad booth. So just being together and doing that has been really special. So.
I also met Alexa, who, like Seisha, has been involved with the Cheyenne Greek Festival as a volunteer or a dancer for most of her life because of her family.
My grandmother, she had come over from Greece when she was 14, so she's been a part of the church her whole life, like pretty much her whole life. And so this started as like a bazaar in the church basement. I couldn't tell you how long ago, but so it started there, and she was kind of the one who got us all involved. She was a Greek dancer first, and like I was a Greek dancer for a long time. So, and my dad would help cook. I think the gyro meat. My mom's always worked here at the pastry booth. So.
Seisha said that she knows a lot of people attending may not be familiar with the Greek culture, but she hopes that people will have something they can take away with them, even if it is just learning that it's pronounced gyro and not gyro.
I just want them to appreciate and experience something new, something lively, and something super traditional that they probably don't see very often. And ask questions. You can learn about the culture a little bit and take away that we're vibrant, we're lively, have a lot of energy, and we just want to share our heritage with everybody. So everyone can be Greek.
For me, one thing I enjoyed learning about was the dancing. It's very communal. All the participants danced in a winding circle, mostly holding hands and facing each other. At the end of a performance, I saw the Perea Greek dancers. Children and other attendees were invited to join the dance circle as well. Once they were done, I chatted with one of the dancers, Peter, and it was before he even had a chance to grab his breath after the performance.
Yes, absolutely. I am absolutely sweating.
How long have you been doing Greek dancing?
I have been doing Greek dancing since I was in elementary school.
Yeah. What's your favorite part about it?
I think my favorite part about Greek dancing as a whole is it's a community-based dance. You get everyone involved from everywhere.
Yeah. How often do you get to do it? Are there events like this? Or?
There are multiple Greek festivals like this around the entire country, if not the world. And for me personally, I've been doing events this entire summer, every other week.
I also met with one of the vendors there. He was selling Greek pottery, jewelry, hats, and figurines representing Greek mythology and history at his booth there.
Do you make all these?
You see here, bronze.
Did you make it?
No, made in Greece, and it's a lifetime every piece, you see. If you pick up, it's very good quality. The 12 gods, helmets, represent the Greek mythology, a lot of things.
Yeah.
What started as a modest bazaar at the Greek Orthodox Church, the Cheyenne Greek Festival now completed its 37th year and has become a cultural staple in Cheyenne. It was originally formed as a fundraising bazaar and luncheon for the church. And while the money raised still benefits Saints Constantine and Helen Greek Orthodox Church, the festival partners with local nonprofits to fundraise for every year. And this year they partnered with Climb Wyoming.
So our parish, Saints Constantine and Helen, our parishioners are volunteers, and then we also have the high school ROTC programs and Boy Scouts that are helping, and different volunteers even throughout the years that have just wanted to help, not necessarily with an organization that want to help put this on. And what's great is that the proceeds of the festival not only go to the church, but also to those organizations that help volunteer, and then to a charity of choice, which is Climb Wyoming this year. And so that's just a way that we can give back to the community, which makes it really special and really makes it a whole Cheyenne community event, not just Greeks. So.
That's all for this week's episode of The Perch from the Wyoming Tribune Eagle. Thank you, Ivy and Brian, for contributing. I enjoyed having you on this week's episode.
Hey, Noah, before we leave, I've had a few questions from people wanting to know why this podcast is called The Perch.
The Perch, that's a great question, and one that we have yet to address here after a few episodes, but it's called The Perch. First of all, we're the Wyoming Tribune Eagle, so keeping with the imagery there, but also we sit here in our second floor office in downtown Cheyenne with windows all around as we get to watch, observe the community from our perch up here and share what we're learning here.
Yeah, I've had a nice perch looking out the window at the Children's Museum being built, so we thought that might be an appropriate way, but I realized we'd never talked about that, so thanks for answering the question.
I'm glad you brought it up. Well, again, that's all for this week, so thanks for tuning in. Be sure to check back next Wednesday for more news from our perch here.